Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bow and Arrow Tarot. My name is Rebecca. I'm going to get right into Gemini. All right. Thank you all for stopping by. I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to start shuffling your spirits of darkness and light, and see what they have for your week. This is a weekly general outlook, guys. So, just take it as it applies to you, as it comes to you. And if it doesn't apply to you, just let it go, right? This isn't going to be for everyone. We know that. And this is just a snapshot for your next week, starting Sunday, May 3rd. First full week of May, guys, right? We're all hanging in there. We all staying safe. Are we all trying to stay healthy as much as we can? Spirits of the shoreline came out for you. Calm, tranquil, relaxing. All right, Gemini. All right, show me what's going on for my lovely Geminis. Oop, not taking that one. Didn't flip totally. Show me. All right, Gemini. Let's see what's going on for you. Let's see. Straight out. Spirit of the scales. All right, so a little rebalancing happening also for you this week. And we have Spirit of the Fae. Spirit of the Fae. Wow. Interesting. Mischief, right? So in this deck, the Fae or Fairy, right, will be mischief makers, play is at work, right? It's fantasy, the spirit of fantasy, the spirit of play, the spirit of mischief. So it's quite interesting that will come in. Spirit of the scales, of course, is karma, justice, rebalancing coming in. So for some of you, definitely some justice is being served in the sense that if you have had an area in your life that has been out of balance this week, the spirit of balance is coming in. And the spirit of the shoreline. So for some of you, maybe some, much earned tranquility, calm, and relaxation is coming in, depending on, what you've been up to these last weeks. It's been like a difficult time. Let me just fix my my wires here. You guys can't see me, but I got like my headphones on. All right, it's been a difficult time, right? Difficult time. A lot of people have been really stressed out, right? So tranquility and calm and relaxation is something that's very much needed for all of us. So certainly for some of you, this is coming in. And Spirit of the Shoreline really makes me feel like some of you are actually going to be traveling to that tranquility, right? So you may be I don't know, maybe some of you have a country home or a country place that you can go to. It feels like, to me, it's going to be some nature also involved, right? Being out in nature, maybe even being by the ocean, literally. But certainly, some of you are, excuse me, my throat's already starting up. Some of you are definitely going to be physically in an environment that is going to be tranquil and relaxing. So let's just see what the animal spirits have for you this week, my lovelies. All right. All right, we have straight out the dragon. Wow. The dragon eye, right? Associated with the solar plexus chakra, right? Which is the third chakra. And we have the earthworm. Earth energy. So for some of you, definitely going into something new. Some of you are starting a new path, perhaps a new, like a career path or something, because the earthworm is the spirit of the novice. So whatever it is that you're starting, it's something quite new. It's something that you might be feeling a little bit unsure about. We also have the spirit of the hyena. Wow. The hyena. All right. Well, let me review those animal spirits before we go any further. The dragon. Well, the dragon, like I said, is associated with the solar plexus. And the solar plexus, we think of the solar plexus as, I don't know if you don't know where that is, right? The solar plexus is that sort of little dip that we have in the front of our bodies, right below our breastbone, right? And it's a little dip. And inside the body, it's actually a cradle. Singers will know about the solar plexus because they have to work with that area of the body a lot for their breath control. right? And etc. And there's singing exercises and things like that. But it's like a little cradle. And what's cradled there is your diaphragm. And your diaphragm is what allows you to breathe in and out. And when we talk about a metaphysical sense, right? That breath, that cradle, that, that really instigates our breath, right? The breath being associated with life. In metaphysics, we think of that area also being associated with the spirit. So some people will believe that there's a tether that goes from the solar plexus to the spirit, an unseen tether that ties your soul to your body. So the solar plexus has a lot of significance when we're talking about metaphysics, especially when we're talking about metaphysics and the connection between the higher energies and our material body. And so this is why it's represented by the dragon eye, because it feels the solar plexus is the area in our body. When when you feel nervous or you ever feel like you're doing something, you're about to do something, and you know what you're doing either is wrong or you're not really 100% there, or you're terrified or you're nervous or whatever. What area of our body reacts? A lot of times it's our solar plexus. Our breath reacts. Literally that diaphragm area will react, right? And so it's that watchfulness of the soul. It's the watchfulness of your divine self, always there, always watching, and really being very, I want to say, in a very physical way connected to you. And to such a degree that a lot of times people can say it can be felt in the diaphragm or the solar plexus area. And so when a dragon spirit comes into our life, it's because our souls, our higher selves, are really watching us right now, watching to see if you are being true to your higher self, being true to your path, right? Being true to who you are, following that life path that you have set out for yourself. So it's very much a sort of a watchful, and if necessary, the soul or the spirit sort of coming in and sending messages or communicating with you in different ways. And a lot of times that will involve the solar plexus. Now, the earthworm, like I said earlier, is an earth animal spirit, and it is associated with the novice. It's that feeling of just, sort of emerging from the earth for the first time. It's that feeling of being new, being fresh, not knowing what you're doing, being surrounded by other creatures and beings that have so much more experience than you, or that have been there for so long, so much longer than you. The earthworm, it is a very sweet animal spirit, but it is a feeling of anxiety sometimes. It can be a feeling of low self-esteem or shyness, overly shy, and just really wanting to hide away from the world. But it is a temporary energy. Everyone in their lives goes through a period at some point or another where they resonate with the spirit of the earthworm, because we're always, at some point in our lives, we're always the new one in the door, right? We're always the new one on the block, or the new one in the door, the new one on the job, the new one in the social scene, the new one in the neighborhood, right? Whatever it is, right? We are all at some point, we're new to it, right? So the spirit of the earthworm, it can be impactful, of course. It can be impactful. It can almost be sometimes even crippling if you're very, very shy, right? But it is associated with a temporary energy, because eventually you won't be the newest one in the door. Eventually you start to gain your experience and your footing and your skill, and with that you find your confidence. And so in a lot of ways, the spirit of the earthworm is also the spirit of finding your confidence through experience, finding your own sense of confidence through your own experience. Now, the hyena is a fire animal, animal spirit, a fire animal spirit, and the hyena is really a trip. It is associated with humor and wit and sarcasm, biting sarcasm. The thing with the hyena, though, is that it is a really sad creature in a lot of ways, because oftentimes this is someone, and we've all been there, right? We've all had that friend who is just overly sort of humorous, right? They're very humorous, Sometimes they're very, very funny, but a lot of times their wit or their sarcasm or their desire to be funny comes from a place of pain, and you can feel that. And so this is the person who really covers up their pain with humor. And unfortunately, that generally doesn't come off so humorous. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we understand that, comedians generally, right? We think about comedians and clowns having these tragic lives when, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about someone who has a sense of is lacking a sense of self-esteem and confidence. More importantly, this is someone who doesn't feel like they measure up. So it's a very specific kind of insecurity. It's the insecurity of feeling like you haven't done enough, you haven't accomplished enough. Everyone around you has accomplished so much more or gained so much more, right? It is unfulfilled. It's the feeling of being unfulfilled or having unfulfilled ambitions that is at the root of the pain of the spirit of the hyena. And so also the hyena then covers it up with this humor and this biting, the sarcasm. And if you're dealing with somebody like this, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about, because this is kind of like one of these vibes that you can feel. You can feel it in the way that they communicate and in the way that they joke around. And it's very painful because you can tell that they're in pain. So you may be dealing with somebody like that. You may be resonating with that yourself, and a lot of times with the spirit of the hyena, it really requires you or the person who is resonating with this really taking, really reevaluating these goals that they feel like they failed so much at, reevaluating these goals and reevaluating your life in such a way to look at it objectively and say, like, well, why haven't I achieved these things? And, to work towards achieving the things that you want to achieve rather than just sort of sitting in that pain, which the spirit of the hyena is really all about. All right, my lovely Geminis, let's get ready to pull out your spread for the week. As I normally do, the general weeklies, I'm going to pull out 3 spreads for you. And you could be resonating with any one of these 3 spreads. They're intended to be different forecasts. So for different Geminis out there, you're not going to resonate necessarily with all 3. And like I said, just take what you can, what applies to you, what helps you out. Just take that and let the rest go. This isn't going to be for everyone. All right. So straight out, we have, nice. Ace of Pentacles, beautiful. Page of Swords and a 2 of Swords. All right, so some of you are coming into some major money, major financial opportunity coming in for you. It's nice, Ace of Pentacles. It's new, right? It's very, very new, but interesting. Earthworm energy could be coming in for you here, because Page of Swords is all about sort of trying to remain confident and not allowing sort of negative self-image or doubt sort of dissuade you or hold you back. Pages are all about overcoming fear in that suit. For each of the suits, the page represents that first stage of that energy and trying to overcome the fear of that. Now, with swords being associated with the mind and the mental, our psyche, our ideas, how we communicate, our sense of confidence, right? Our sense of self-esteem and confidence, all of that is associated with swords energy. And so the Page of Swords is all about sort of dealing with those initial self-esteem issues that we all have. Right? Dealing with sort of remaining confident or remaining positive, even though you're feeling negative or even though you're feeling a little bit of self-esteem issues. So earthworm energy is definitely here, but you're fighting against it this week. And what I'm going to say, for some of you, this is a golden opportunity that you've taken up, Gemini. It could be a job or a business opportunity that you've taken up. It could be something to do with your social circle, but it's definitely something to do with making money. I want to say commerce, productivity in some kind of way. Certainly abundance is coming in. This is a golden opportunity, but you are nervous, I think. I think you're very nervous. I think you're trying to stay very, very confident about it. You have 2 of Swords. By the end of the week, you're going to be feeling a little bit like you are forced into an impossible decision. 2 of Swords is Moon and Libra energy. And so we're talking about feeling like you're being forced to have to make a decision between 2 things you can't decide between. Two of Swords is interesting, and Two of Swords is all about balance. Remember, you have Spirit of the Scales coming in, right? So Spirit of the Scales and Two of Swords energy, talking about balance, talking about finding balance, talking about, sometimes when you're being forced to make a decision between two choices that you can't decide between, it's time to make a third choice. And the third choice is to choose balance, is to choose your own sort of, your own way, a little bit of both. Two of Swords is general. It's funny energy because it always feels like this decision is being forced on you in some way, right? And so that's the thing that's really odd about, not odd, but that's the rub with Two of Swords. If oftentimes it can feel like this decision is being forced on you, and you can feel very emotional about it. And don't, if you feel like you perhaps are being pressured into a choice that you just can't make, sometimes this can be the choice between a career and family, or family and a lover, or friends and a lover, or one career and another way of life, or whatever. I mean, oftentimes Two of Swords definitely represents very difficult decisions that we have to make. But it also represents the balance between the two options. And when you can't choose one, really finding a balance. Interesting spread. Definitely a spread for a Gemini that is making a shift, I want to say, in their career or their business. You're making a fundamental shift. It could also be for some of you now, this Ace of Pentacles may just be a judgment coming in, because Spirit of the Scales sometimes can indicate also, or justice energy certainly can indicate sometimes a judgment coming in, or like, this abundance coming in a way to sort of rebalance the scales. So you may have been owed this abundance, right? So you may have gotten a judgment, you may have gotten some kind of payout or something like that. And again, either which way, this influx of abundance, this rebalancing of your life, really, in a lot of ways, I'm going to say is what's making you feel like by the end of the week that you have like quite a difficult decision to make. It's very, very interesting. For those of you who are getting sort of like maybe something like a judgment or something coming in, it could be as a result of that judgment that you're having to make certain decisions. And these might be something that's really sort of legal or officially associated, right? So in this case, you want to be very, very careful about what decisions you make, right? Certainly. Very, very interesting outlook for some of you Geminis this week. Definitely a lot of money coming in. I'm going to say that. 5 of Cups, 10 of Cups, and the 3 of Swords. Ooh. So some of you, you 5 of Cups, it's like you come into the week and it's like you're remembering a heartache from the past. Some of you are dealing with a heartache here, 5 of Cups. Something really hurt you. You're dealing with it. You're thinking about it. It could be that certain events happening in your life are reminding you of it. It could be that this has been quite recent and you just haven't had a chance to get over it. In either case, you come into the week with this energy. This week, there's something coming in for you, 10 of Cups. So 10 of Cups is completion. It almost feels to me like this is family, right? You may be going to a wedding this week. You may be going to, and although right, are we supposed to be going to any events right now? But it feels to me, 10 of Cups feels to me like you're having an experience this week, Gemini, that's a real family experience. It's a feeling of completion. It's a feeling of being together, being stable, being supported. It feels to me like you're going to be witnessing this, this coming week. It's not so much that this is necessarily happening with you and a lover, but you're going to be part of this in some way. It could be, like I said, visiting family or going to a wedding or something like that. It's really interesting because you're involved in it, but I don't feel like it's you necessarily who's doing the getting married, right? Who's getting married, but you're involved and you feel loved. 10 of Cups is definitely a feeling of love. It's a feeling of stability and support. It's that long, strong love that you get from family, from you know what I mean? From from your long-term connections, right? As well, certainly. It's interesting because you have this, and then but you round off the week with a Three of Swords, which is betrayal. And it feels to me like some of you are going to be finding out about a betrayal this week. Hey, Rock and Rob, how you doing? Rock and Rob 121, shout out in the chat. It feels to me like some of you are going to be finding out about a betrayal. Okay, some kind of betrayal. And it's going to be coming out of this event, Ten of Cups. It almost feels like, for example, would be like, say you go to an event with the family, or you're going to a wedding with the family, or some kind of like lovely event like that that involves that coming together. You're all there, and there's some kind of information that comes out, or there's some kind of event that happens, or there's something that happens there which reveals the fact that there has been a betrayal. It could be a betrayal against you. I mean, obviously it's to do with you, but it's a betrayal. Like, I don't know necessarily if it's a betrayal against you per se, or against the family of which you are a part of, or what have you. But there is uncovering or evidencing of a betrayal that's happened. And it's coming directly out of this event this week, this really strong event associated with love and coming together and everything that is all about love. But out of this event comes a betrayal. It's so weird. It's almost like, it's like a family reunion, and like you find out that the cousin isn't your cousin because the daddy isn't who we thought the daddy was. You know what I mean? Or it could be, it could be a family betrayal that comes out, or it could be a friendship betrayal, but something comes out. And it's really weird. It feels to me like you are just now kind of coming out of this Five of Cups internal struggle here, internal power struggle, Gemini, where you're really working to pull yourself up and forward past this past heartache. You have this event this week, and it's like, boom, you're hit with now a new sort of betrayal. And again, like I said, I'm not sure if this Three of Swords is specifically like meant to have been a betrayal against you, but it's there. It's a very interesting dynamic, and I think in a lot of ways, Gemini, those of you who are going through that this week are certainly part of the, I want to say not lesson, but part of the this experience is understanding who to trust and who not to trust. What things you should be thankful for, what blessings, you know what I mean, to be thankful for. I think in a lot of ways, a lot of you are going to realize in what ways you are blessed after having come out of this. Because this feels very much like a feeling of, not so much a feeling that you're the one who screwed over so much, but how it's a feeling of witnessing how badly people can get screwed over and sort of being very, very happy for where you're at. You know what I'm saying? This is what it feels like to me. You started off the week quite, sad, I want to say, grieving even, and looking towards the past. And it's almost like the events of this week, the realization that you are blessed right here and now in the present day. And even this uncovering of betrayal that affects you, but I feel like it's not directly connected to you, almost kind of wakes you up out of everything. It wakes you up out of this grief from the past. And it kind of wakes you up and makes you realize, not only do I not need to be really grieving about this anymore, but thank God I have this in my life where I'm stable, because I could be dealing with this Three of Swords in a much more personal way. It's a very interesting energy, Gemini, and it's definitely an energy of coming out of this week and feeling calm, tranquil, relaxed, healed even. Definitely healed from the past. All right, there's your Hermit. Not surprised that the Hermit has shown up again. Nine of Swords and the Hanged Man. Again, another awakening. So a lot of Geminis this week, you guys are having mad awakenings. All right. What can I say? The Hermit is coming in. So for some of you, you've been dealing with a lot of Hermit energy. You've been off on your own. You've been away. You've been, and I feel almost like you've been, I don't know. It feels like you've been forced into it. So to a certain degree, this could definitely be for Geminis who've been like having to be like quarantined, or so often, like who isn't quarantined right now, right? But it feels like that. It feels like this Hermit energy is something that you've kind of had to deal with, right? You've had to kind of walk this path. It wasn't necessarily a choice. However, You come into this week with this energy. You've definitely sort of embraced the hermit, right? It feels to me like you've embraced this hermit energy. You've embraced the idea of kind of being on your own. And Gemini, you guys don't like being on your own. I mean, you are a social animal, right? Like, you are such a social animal. I mean, all the air signs to a degree are, but Gemini, you guys seem to really thrive on being out and about and interacting with people. So this hermited energy that you're going through right now, although you're embracing it, I feel like it is really a feeling of like going through this kind of personal sort of journey, you know, that you didn't realize you were going to have to do, but here you are nevertheless. Some things are happening this week that are coming in that are Nine of Swords energy. So there's going to be some sleepless nights this week, some anxiety, some worry. But by the end of the week, you wake up. You wake up and you realize something. I think for some of you, you are waking up to some kind of connection you have that's really been painful. And I think that were it not for this time alone for you to really be with your thoughts and for you to really figure out how you feel, I don't think that you would have this Hanged Man awakening. I mean, this is what Hanged Man is all about. Hanged Man has nothing to do with being stuck or not being able to move. The Hanged Man is all about inspiration that comes in and wakes us up. And I think for a lot of you, just the fact, and I'm going to say for a lot of you who are resonating with this, right, just the fact that you are realizing you're still having sleepless nights about certain things, or that you're still grieving and having anxiety about something, that in and of itself, again, just like the previous reading, is waking you up. It's kind of waking you up to something that you need to deal with. It could be a connection to an old lover. It could be a past relationship. It could be whatever it is. It's something that I think that up until you were forced to sort of be a little bit more hermited, you did not realize how much it had been upsetting you. Now that you're in this hermited, you know, sort of environment right now, I think you're realizing how much you've been affected. And this realization is your wake up, is your Hanged Man wake up. So for some of you, you realize that you haven't been working as hard as you should be, perhaps, or working as much as you'd like to be working in a certain area of your life. You know, you've just sort of been languishing for a little while. An example would be like, say, for instance, you haven't dated in a while, and it's not so much because you feel like on the surface that you are so done with dating or anything like that, but you've just been busy, right? You're a Gemini, you've been busy, and you just haven't really been dating. Well, now you're kind of not so busy, right? And you're hermited, and you're kind of having to slow your pace down, right? And so this is just an example of what I'm talking about. You may not be going through this, but now that you're having to slow down your lifestyle a little bit and you're much more alone with your thoughts, you're starting to come back to some thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, etc., that may be associated with a past lover or a past relationship that left you a little bit damaged or broken or hurt, or just left you with a little bit of healing to do, but you didn't realize it until now that you've had some time alone, that life has slowed down a little bit, and that you've really been paying much more attention to yourself in a lot of ways. And so you realize, wow, I still need to heal from this past relationship. And you may even realize, wow, maybe that's why I haven't been dating, or maybe that's why I haven't found someone, because I didn't realize that I really needed to do some more healing. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is what I'm talking about. And then that realization comes in with the Hanged Man, like, wow. Hello, Kathleen. The Hanged Man comes in to wake you up. And now you're woken up and you're like, well, wait a minute. I do want to date. I want to date. I want to have it. You know, I haven't dated in a while. I miss it. So now all of that inspiration and awakening is coming up because you've kind of sort of unblocked yourself. This is what this all feels like here to me. Because with Hermit and the Hanged Man, this is always, it's a recipe for awakening through a self journey. A journey that you've had with yourself. You've been on your own. You've had some time to think about yourself. And so this awakening is huge. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. My lovely, lovely Geminis. Big shout out to Rock and Rob 121 and Kathleen McCallum. I love that name, McCallum. It's really, really nice. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out this Gemini Weekly Outlook. If you like my video, please like it, subscribe, and share. All of that really, really helps me out. Even right now, YouTube is wacky. Things are all over the place right now. I think because, you know, a lot of places, they don't have the regular people working and everything like that. So nevertheless, I'm going to keep it up. Let's try to stay here for you guys and keep up the videos. But for me, liking and subscribing and sharing, that is what you can do for me to really help me out and to help keep me here also. All right, guys, I love you so much, Gemini. I'm going to take a little break, and then I shall be back with the Cancer reading for this next week. All right, guys, I love you so much. I'll see you later. Bye-bye now.